The world has never been so unsecure about its future. In Germany, the communists took over after World War I, and in France and Fiume, a new ideology called accelerationism rose up. While all this happened, we were safe on our island, at least we thought. A general strike and a London stock market crash has ruined our economy, and political instability has led to no solution to our problem. In the meantime, our colonial empire is slowly collapsing. To fix the political instability, our leaders have called for a snap election. After a month of campaigning, the results are in. The Conservatives have won a majority with their promise to restore the empire back to its height. Before we can start our economic reforms, we need to restore order within the homeland. We will support the police with more money and crack down on radical groups. Then we could finally arrest their leaders and unite the nation again. But while we had stabilized our homeland, in the colonies, Tanzanian communists declared independence. We weren't fast enough to destroy them, so we had to sign peace to not lose stability at home. Now we could finally start our economic reforms. First, we had to cut government spending on dole payments, civil servants, and sadly the military. This made it so that our economy finally started to recover. What we hadn't counted on was a mutiny on the HMS Hood. They weren't happy with our cuts for the military. Luckily, we managed to compromise with the strikers and they returned to their job. With that over, we continued with our economic reforms. We made deals with the unions and subsidized companies. This led to our economy finally having recovered. We continued on our economic focus tree. We started trading with new nations and built new factories. The lion roars again. We have zero consumer goods and the most civilian factories in the old world. Now we can start developing our military. Before we can improve it, we need to learn from our mistakes. The Battle of the Somme. We must never again send our soldiers to pointless death. Our new strategy will be centered around artillery. We will shatter the enemies before they even reach us. Now it's time to restore the British Raj. We will send whatever it takes to restore our rule in India. Soldiers to deal with partisans and money to boost their economy. Now we can invade the Indian warlords. We have restored the British Raj. While we retook India, war in Europe broke out. The French pushed into Germany as the Germans were very weak. We might have to intervene soon so that the French don't get too strong, but we will see how the war goes first. While we waited, we improved the lives of our citizens. We cleared slums and improved education. After that, we fortified Calais for the inevitable war with the French. They have captured the Rhineland and taken over all of Yugoslavia and Hungary. I think it's time to intervene. We had prepared a naval invasion of Cherbourg. The French were not prepared and our Royal Marines quickly captured the city. To get more supply, we advanced and encircled the major port city of Brest. We now have a stable beachhead to continue into France from. Instead of going straight for Paris, we first linked up with our troops in Calais. We managed to encircle the French divisions and crush them. Now it's time to capture Paris, or Le Soleil, whatever the crazy accelerationists have renamed it to. After capturing it, we launched a full attack on the whole front. At the same time, we advanced with our marines towards Switzerland. When we reached Switzerland, we had encircled the whole French Northern Army. We closed the encirclement with the help of the Germans. Then we attacked the provisional capital in Bordeaux. We did the last major push to the Mediterranean Sea. They surrendered once we captured their last major city. In the peace deal, the Germans took northeastern and central France. We took all states bordering the Atlantic and puppeted a democratic France in the south. We divided their colonies with our old puppet states and created some new ones. Most French capitulated, but some fanatics managed to flee to the accelerationist nation of Spain. They are now getting support from the Spanish, and we could be seeing raids into France by them. We need to invade Spain, or else there will never be peace in the region. We didn't bother pushing through the Pyrenees mountains, instead we naval invaded La Coruna. In the peace deal, we puppeted Spain and gave away their colonies to our puppets. France took some parts of northern Spain. Meanwhile, the Japanese were threatening to expand. We need to stop them. We started with invading their Indo-Chinese puppet. We slowly marched through the dense jungle and encircled some Japanese. When we reached the outskirts of Hanoi, we ran out of supply. So we launched a naval invasion on the ports, and from there we captured Hanoi. Then we took over the rest of Indochina. We tried to retake Hong Kong from the Japanese, but didn't manage the first time. But after adding some more divisions to the naval invasion, we captured the city. Then we continued towards Okinawa. We captured the island and destroyed a lot of Japanese light ships. Now we were ready to assault the Japanese mainland. We landed without any resistance and then quickly advanced to capture the whole island. We captured Nagasaki and then we waited for reinforcements. When they arrived, we continued our attack on the biggest Japanese island. We reached all the way to Osaka but then got stopped. The Japanese had air superiority and dealt a lot of damage to our divisions, so we had to take a pause and start building air bases. Finally, we have air superiority. We renewed our offensive and managed to encircle and capture Osaka and Kyoto. Then we continued towards Tokyo. We captured the city and the Japanese capitulated. In the peace deal, we took Tokyo and Osaka. We puppeted the rest. After the war with France, the Germans took Paris. Now we will take it back. Before we could attack the Germans, they attacked Austria and Switzerland. This means they will fight in a two-front war. So, it's time to attack them. This must have been the easiest war ever. Our motorized divisions quickly captured Berlin and then turned to the Balkans. We didn't even have to use any airplanes. We have successfully restored the empire and made it stronger than ever. Thanks so much for watching and see you next video.